Hey guys, this is Sarah. I wanted to share this little orc outhouse I made that has a Bad Moons twist, with the outhouse half moon being a Bad Moons logo. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It was my first scratch-built structure from plasticard. Everything that you see is just made from plasticard, barring the wire that I used for the door. So I have to admit, I was a little bit lazy, and this is a lot like a theme park where the scenery looks really good from the outside and is unfinished on the inside. So you can see there where I have wire connecting the door to the inside of the structure, and a little bit of how I assembled this with basically small strips of plasticard or styrene with the wider planks that make up the outside. So pretty much all I did was Google pictures of an outhouse, which is where I got this diamond window pattern from, and just ran with it. So I know somebody on the orc group on Facebook was curious about measurements, and I like that the door works, but it gets stuck on the inside sometimes. I'm not really opening and closing it much. At some point I had hoped to put the bench inside, but it probably would have been smarter to do that before the entire structure was finished. And it just didn't happen that way. So anyways, measurements for this I'm going to go ahead and just do in centimeters because that's how I planned it originally. So they are a little bit easier for me to talk about that way. Let's see if we can get this to focus. So the plan was 3 centimeters wide, 4 centimeters long. And my original plan was to have this back slope up from 5.5 centimeters to 6.5 centimeters. But before priming it, thank goodness, I figured out that that was just too tall. So I ended up cutting off a bit. I'll put pictures at the end so you can see pretty much my whole process. But so you'll see back here we go from 5 all the way up to like 5 3/4. You could probably get away with 6. I mean, that was originally what I had planned for, was an entire centimeter of slope. So, and then the roof, I'm just gonna leave the door alone. The roof planks, some go from like 5 to a little bit longer than 5. That was just to give it more of that really orky scrap wood finish look. And the way that I made the wood grain texture that you see here was just by taking one of these really fat X-Acto knives. And I actually have some blades. They're the number 2 size blades, so whatever knife that goes in. And mine actually has, if it would focus, the tip broke off. And so that's what I was using. I don't know if the tip being broken off helped, but that's what I used, just so you know, if you wanted to try and recreate, if it's not working out with the really sharp point, maybe you can snap off the end. I don't really know. Quick ninja edit here, guys. I realized I started rambling about the X-Acto blades and didn't explain the part where you take an X-Acto blade and scrape it across a plank to make the wood grain texture. So basically you will cut down little strips of styrene and take your X-Acto blade, and starting 3/4 of the way back, drag it, and while pressing, I'm not going to do this while I'm holding it, it's slightly dangerous, but dragging about 3/4 of the way back, drag all the way to the end until you're happy with the look, and then flip it around, and again, starting 3/4 of the way back, drag to the end again. And at the end of it, I had an example, here we go. At the end of it, you'll end up with something that looks like that. Now you'll notice on the door, there's that big chunk out of it right there, and like right there as well. So that's super simple too. Just take your X-Acto knife and hold it on that edge and just push and drag, and that'll create those great like divots in the sides. So that's how that goes. Now I'm going to talk about painting. Anyways, there are only 3, I guess I would say, colors on this. Well, it's not that I would guess. There really are only 3. I used Rhinox hide mixed with white to get a lighter brown, and then dry brushed XV any day now. XV88 over that. And then for places that I made these jagged marks here, I went back with just undiluted, unmessed with Rhinox hide, and very carefully just filled in those dark scratches with Rhinox hide. So just a light Rhinox hide base, dry brushed over XV88 and Rhinox hide in those deep scratches. So that's how that came about. I hand cut and painted the Bad Moons logo. It was really, I wouldn't say it was very difficult, but definitely challenging for it being so small. But definitely worth it. I think this turned out great. I'm really happy with it, really proud of it, and I just thought I would share it. So if you want to have a go at it, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 5 to 5 3/4, but you could probably get away with 5 to 6 centimeters, and then the planks are 5 and some varying little bit over 5 centimeter measurements. So there it is.